right, everybody, we're talking, assessing, and improving your hip flexion. Hip flexion is usually a secondary thought to many people. Most people are going to think about improving hip extension first, which is super important, especially for standing up straight in your squat or locking out your deadlifts or even setting a good global arched position in your bench press. However, more often than not, people have a hip flexion problem than they have a hip extension problem because hip flexion precedes hip extension in loaded movements or in most loaded movements. In the squat, if you're somebody who struggles coming out of the hole or if you really struggle with position, you really need to look at your hip flexion and make sure that that's not a limiting factor. If you're someone who shifts your hips to left or right in a squat or deadlift pattern, you really need to assess your hip flexion and make sure that that's not a massive limiting factor. And it's really easy, and I'm going to show you how to right now. The first self-assessment we're going to do is on the floor here. Really important that you keep your lower back into the ground. I don't need you to round your lower back, but we just need to make sure that you're not extending the lower back. What we're going to be looking here for is the differences between left and right legs when the legs are straight and in a flexed position. Knee has to remain straight here. Say, for example, one leg might be here, right? And another leg could be like this. That would be a massive red flag for us because we don't need them to be perfectly equal, but we need them pretty close. So if that was the cause, or if that was something that we noticed when doing this drill, the fix that we're going to have here is by using a band and doing almost like a contract and relax, but it's not, I guess there's not really relaxed phase of this. It's more of like some kind of PNF type stretching, whatever that honestly is, I don't even know. Right here, we're getting tension on the band. We're gonna pull up as high as we can. Now, it's super important to note that I'm not stretching here. In fact, I'm just holding the band so it doesn't leave my foot. What I'm gonna try and do is push into as much hip flexion as I possibly can here. I'm gonna hold for a 5 to 8 count. I'm gonna tension this band at this point, and then I'm gonna press it down as hard as I can to the ground and try and extend that hip. I'm gonna hold this for, again, about a 5 to 8 count. I'm squeezing this glute as hard as I can to bring that hip flexor into extension, and then I'm going back. Again, not holding here. I'm trying to get into a bigger degree of hip flexion as far as I can, and then I'm gonna press down as hard as I can here. Now we can do as soon as I finish this, we'll do a left to right assessment to see if I even improve this one over this one, even though I don't really have a hip flexion problem. All right, let's check right leg here. This is about feeling a lot of tension through the hamstring here. And I have pretty equal hip flexion left to right, and then that's the difference other side. So a little bit of an improvement there, but more often than not, you're gonna have a drastic difference from start to finish if you are somebody who struggles with a hip shift, or if you are someone who really kicks into an anterior pelvic tilt at the bottom of the squat. An anterior pelvic tilt is a sign of lack of hip flexion because instead of your hips continuing to go into deeper flexion, you're essentially stopping it by that pelvic tilt and arching your back to continue to move. Improve your hip flexion, improve your squat, improve your life. Brandon signing out.